we are United by Rice, where we talk about all things API and H, starting from entertainment and beyond. My name is Junko Goda, and I'm here with my co-host, Ben Lee. How's it going, Ben?
Good, Junko. I'm back from a very long, I guess not long, about a week-long trip
flight was
to,
long.
yes, to Iceland. So as some of you may have seen on my Instagram, I apologize that we have a little bit of a break in our episodes, but that was 100% due to my travels and then a little bit of
Yeah.
Junko's busy schedule as well.
Yeah. But we try to make it work, but because we've done like Pacific time in Japan and probably
We do.
will for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
We were juggling, I think we might have been juggling 3 time zones at one point with one of our producers,
Yeah.
but Iceland just really broke the camel's back.
Iceland was tough. So,
and your jet lag too, and just,
yeah. Well, I don't
stuff
mind
there.
sharing. I can share what I was up to, right? It was a very meaningful trip. So, yes, Iceland Wi-Fi is not overly reliable in certain parts I was in. Although the first hotel and probably the last would have been fine, but in the middle, no. But I was on a busy schedule. So I was there for something called ICE 2025, which someone reminded me that's not the best hashtag in the world these days.
Not really.
but it happened, it was claimed before I think people were
right. You can't predict
before the Trump administration jumped in and kind of took over the meaning of that. But
yes.
ICE 2025, second year that the International Myeloma Foundation has held essentially this event, and it's meant to be a big fundraiser for myeloma and myeloma research. And I don't talk about it a lot on here, because I like to at least pretend that most of the time I'm doing cool entertainment stuff like podcasting. But I have real career and a real passion in cancer research based companies and manufacturing biotech companies. And myeloma has been a passion. So I was lucky to be invited to be one of 22 writers in this event. 5 patients, 2 caregivers. What am I missing? 5 patients, 2 caregivers, 4 doctors. And when I say doctors, like 4 of the top physicians in multiple myeloma, and then the rest being industry sponsors and partners, like our company. And it kicked my ass, Junko. It was, they tried to warn me. They had an active WhatsApp group and even a monthly call, and a lot of that I couldn't participate in for various reasons. But they clearly selected a group of people that are avid cyclists, and that's not me. I last really rode my bike actively like that, doing centuries or things, probably at least 18, 19 years ago. So
That's too long, man.
So I had this assumption in my head, well, there's myeloma patients going on the trip. They can't give us like routes too hard, right? Like there's myeloma patients are often in their 60s on average. And, so I should be able to handle it. But obviously like 30 something or 20 something Ben, and Ben now are very different.
Yes.
And just getting and doing a ride, none of which were easy. So we rode for 4 straight days. I'd say some of the other cyclists thought a couple days were easy, but 2 of the rides in particular, one of them was about 36 miles in like lava rock gravel.
Yeah. Wait,
right?
So back up a little bit. So this wasn't a conference or anything. You're just getting together with patients and doctors or whatever. So it's having a social setting with the context of cycling. And you just and
fundraising. So everybody had to raise a minimum of $15,000. And I think in total raised 1.3 million, which is a phenomenal amount.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. So you're saying, it's a pretty big deal to be, was it invited?
Yes. If you're industry, there's some vetting process. Because there's 2 things that they want to ensure, right? One is that you can physically do the ride, right? And
yeah, I was
so
gonna say.
especially as you can imagine, particularly with the patients, right?
Yeah.
The patients had to send in videos, they had to do interviews, etc., and
Yeah.
prove that they could do the ride.
I see. Okay.
And as a result, the patients that were there were amazing. Like, they were the ones leading the pack, right? Because they were all, a couple of them in particular, just zoom past me on the hill.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Wait, did
who
you
is
train
this?
before this?
Me?
I don't think you did, because we would have discussed it. What?
No, look, I was supposed to, and I'll I'm in
Right.
trouble for not, clearly, but no, I didn't train. And so, like I said, like, the patients were vetted. Patients and caregivers had either been avid cyclists already or had about 8 months worth of training.
Got it.
The doctors, I would say 2 of the 4 doctors are really avid cyclists. One of them is like near world class, and then 2 of the doctors were marathon runners.
Okay.
So they at least had like good endurance stamina, and one of them had done it last year too, so knew what he was getting into.
Okay.
So it's more the industry people, and in the industry people, you had a mix. You had people that were either avid cyclists, people that at least took it seriously and trained, and then a few people like me who were like, all right, we're just gonna ride a Peloton for a couple weeks and hope that that's enough.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the category I felt. I had not done a ride longer than probably 15 miles on actual road in any of my prep time. I'd done some longer Peloton rides. The first day, they told us, oh, we're going to go pick up your bikes, make sure they fit, and do a little warm-up ride. Junko, that warm-up ride was 26 miles. And simultaneously, about halfway through that ride, I was both like, my knee was starting to swell up because I've got a bad knee, and they'd given us these like neoprene, I don't know what, like the thick neoprene, like North Face type of jackets, right? They'd given us one of those jackets,
right?
And I was wearing that, and it was, it's Iceland, but it wasn't that cold.
Yeah,
it was actually quite warm, and I started overheating.
Yeah, because it'll keep the heat in. Yeah,
I almost threw up during this ride, right? And this wasn't even an official part of the ride. So I tell you, I really was worried. And then the official day one was I think it was a 57-mile ride.
Okay.
In volcanic roads, lots of what they call washboard bumps, like just bump, like potholes and stuff.
Yeah.
Some elevation. It was scary, and it was rainy, and it was wet, and
not ideal.
No, but that one I actually got through pretty well. I found it somehow. Day 2, actually the easiest of all the rides, even though it was the longest, was I think the volcano ride was maybe 36 to 40 miles. The longest ride was 56, 57 miles, and that was mostly just road.
Okay, that's good.
Some elevation, again, which for me was hard, but I again got through it. And then day 3 kicked my ass like I was done. It was my 4th day of riding. We're like 140 miles total in. I hit my like breaking point.
Okay.
We had just done 2 big climbs, and we hit our food stop. And I'm telling you, I just pulled over my bike and just let it go, like, emotionally, like. And lots of thoughts flowing through. A lot of it was the inspiration of the patients, right? Like, just like amazing that some of these patients, and I won't bore everyone with like minute detail, but because I work in the space, like, I know how hard it is for some of these patients. I know that these patients don't feel good a lot of days. So inspiring, but I guess for people, I don't it doesn't sound like you've probably done like marathons or those type of things, but
I've done I stopped
26-mile.
I've stopped at half marathons.
Okay.
That's as far as I did. Yeah.
There's something about like this very small group doing something very difficult. That just built like a real family kind of environment, and it was very emotional. So yeah, anyway, that was my time, but in between all that, we're being shuttled, to different starting points in Iceland.
Right. Yeah.
So our hotels varied from like beautiful spa like hotel to like a lodge in the woods.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't sound like you had any time to do like any podcasting, because you would have been exhausted.
I would have been exhausted.
No way.
I would have been a combination of dehydrated and probably drunk, because that was the other part. Everybody wanted to like celebrate every evening.
Yeah. With a beer.
But I could have forced away. I could have forced away.
No need.
Anyway, our guest. Thank you for the patience. But our guest today and the interview that we're going to play is Nisha Ganatra. Both Junko and I had the privilege of talking to her. She's a filmmaker, a lesbian filmmaker, as she proudly tells us, and has, as you noted, in her Wikipedia page. And is coming off the
I just
film.
want to read it.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing research on it, I was just like, wait, what? That's all that says? Literally under personal life, y'all, if you go to her Wikipedia page, it says Nisha is a lesbian. One sentence. That is it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But fantastic, I think, right? If you want to, when we talk about representation in film and filmmaking, it's important. The Oscars every year make such a big deal about like trying to have more women directors in general, trying to have more women directors acknowledged. So it's even greater when you see here's an Asian Indian or South Asian director who is gay getting a chance to direct, and I don't even think we've said this yet, Freakier Friday, which, it's been a long time, but it's still big IP. It's Disney. It's Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan's still
so pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. To the theater. Yeah.
The other name that's been probably getting, the most buzz out of this film is Manny Jacinto.
Yeah. Nisha was such a fan. It's like the unsung hero in the movie. I mean, because obviously it's Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
You're top of the billing. But she just was so loving on him and what he brought to the movie, and like the fun, and like was and I guess understanding what his role was in telling the story. She was really, really gushing over him. So yeah.
And I, look, if I were to, if we were to buy stock in an actor or actors, I'd buy some stock in Manny Jacinto. So, for folks that don't know him, and I don't know how well you know his career, the credits I know are he was in A Good Place with Kristen
Bell. Was that Kristen
Bell?
Bell? Yeah.
And Ted Danson.
Yeah.
And his character was really funny. He played like the really dopey guy from Jacksonville, Florida.
I remember him being like a very, very well loved character.
Yeah, just really funny. Really funny.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit, and I was really
I'm looking at his Wikipedia again.
Okay. I was really happy he spoke out publicly, but he was in Top Gun Maverick. There are 3 Asian actors that are cast as pilots in the whole, training program that makes up Top Gun Maverick, and none of them get a line. They're almost blurred out in every scene. It's not really well understood why. And it feels kind of crappy. Like, why would you cast someone who clearly has the ability to be more than just a background extra in a role like that and cut out all his lines. And he spoke out about that, which I'm glad he did. And, that's a brave thing to do. But he did it anyway. He was in The Acolyte, which was, one of the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. So he played, we don't really know enough about what his character played because unfortunately the series got canceled after one season. But his character was cool. His mask was cool. He had Jedi powers. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever to see him lightsaber battle Lee Jung-jae, who played Sol, an old Jedi, in The Acolyte. So for at least Asians wanting to see Star Wars, Asians, to me that was like a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And I think he's someone whose star is rising. So
definitely,
I don't know. We could try to get him on the show someday and hope that he would accept our invitation. But he's doing good work.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember, is he also a? I couldn't remember if he was a singer too, but no, he's blah 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 blah. Oh, his strongest suit, I guess, is a dancer. He used to participate in hip hop dance competitions before deciding on an acting career. Got it. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I was like, I thought I had heard like Manny having like an additional talent,
like a Harry Shum Jr. or like Bobo Lee, who we talked to, who pops,
something like that,
right? What did she say? Popper? Pop?
She's a popper. Yes, she pops.
Okay.
Yeah, does not lock. Pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I learned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen Freakier Friday yet?
I'm sorry, Nisha. I have not watched Freakier Friday. It's really okay. Sorry, Nisha.
It's probably near its theater end run and will be coming on to Disney Plus soon, I'm sure. So everybody will be able to see it soon. But congratulations to her on a film that was well received by fans and for putting her spin on it as a gay South Asian filmmaker and bringing people like Manny and other minority cast members in. It's of course something that we appreciate here on the pod. You could follow Junko at GoJunko on Instagram. It's .benley to follow me, and United by Rice podcast on Instagram. And then of course download, subscribe the podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Thank you very much, and here is Nisha.
And here we're back with United by Rice with Nisha Ganatra. Hi, Nisha.
Hey, Junko. How are you?
I'm good. And of course, I'm here with Ben Lee as well. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
And Nisha, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's been 2 weeks or a week since the release of Freakier Friday.
1 week.
Well, only 1 week.
Yeah.
Things starting to calm down, press tour, all that, or is it still crazy?
No, things are like, excitingly, things are just ramping up, which is awesome.
Oh, go ahead, Junko.
I was going to say, is it ramping up because you're like rolling out in different territories?
No, I think it's just getting a really, like, I don't want to jinx it. It's getting a good response. And
okay.
I feel like it hasn't even really hit the Asian American community yet that there's a huge movie for us, that there's like a leading man and that we should all be going to see it. I feel like it's interesting as the word of mouth is spreading and kind of like watching how they're marketing and what's happening. Cool.
Well, let's start.
No one's addressed it from that angle so we're really, really excited.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with that because I think to your point, I don't think the marketing or the kind of press before the movie came out really described the film in that way, right? You think of Freaky Friday, you think of Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan. Maybe this is Lindsay Lohan's comeback, right? There's so many other angles.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, certainly more recently, I've been reading about leading man Manny Jacinto and the other cast members, and I'd love to just kind of get a little bit more of your background, how you came to the film and how much you were able to influence the casting and to your point, create a film that speaks to Asian Americans as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to, like, you just work from instinct, I think, and your own vision of what the world looks like. And then, later somebody's like, oh, that was really multicultural, your cast, or really inclusive. And I'm like, huh, okay. But you're really just casting from the world you live in. And I think that's part of the plus of, hiring directors from different backgrounds, because then we all live in different worlds visually, and so we just kind of tend to create a film that reflects our own experience, which is so cool, because if it's reflective of more people's experiences, then obviously there's more audience. So, I mean, I would never, ever argue with Disney's brilliant marketing. I think they can't be beat. I'm in awe of Assad and like all of their accomplishing and how they're doing it. But I do feel like right now, finally, the word is getting out about Manny and him being the lead, and that was really cool. So yeah, but you asked, okay, so how I got involved with the project in the first place?
Yes.
So I had this meeting with Kristen Burr, who was the producer of the original one, and she kind of dropped that they were doing a Freakier Friday. It wasn't called Freakier Friday at the time, a Freaky Friday sequel. And first I was kind of like, oh, a sequel, I don't know. I wonder what is going to happen. But then knowing Kristen and her like incredible film resume and how she sort of creates these really amazing Disney films that don't that kind of feel like something between an indie film and a Disney film. And so like when I saw Cruella, I was like, this movie, I did not think this was for me. And it is so cool, So I was really excited. And then I read the script, and then I was meeting with her, and I just got super into that. When she told me Jamie and Lindsay were coming back for it, I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's figure this out. It is awesome.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too. So how do I describe this? Like Jamie Lee Curtis has always been a huge actress, but I think maybe even bigger now, 20 years later, than when the original Freaky Friday came out, right? And Lindsay, I don't know how to describe her persona, because I think in some ways, she went through this like troubled child actor phase. At least that's how the press depicted her. But at the same time, I think everyone has always been kind to her in remembering and appreciating that she's got real acting chops too. She wasn't just a child actor and a pretty face, but that she was a really great, going to be this huge actor. So when you heard the names, what did that come with? Like in terms of there's baggage, or this is exciting?
I just don't really follow like when I remember when we were little, like watching Lindsay and loving her and wanting to be her. And then she did kind of get lost for a little bit too, but I think she was just not on my radar as older. But the same way, like, Julia Stiles disappeared for a bit, and Amanda Bynes disappeared for a bit, and Britney Spears, like, I was like, where did everybody go? Like, where they used to make these amazing movies for girls, for teenage girls, where we were the stars and we were the center, and the stories were so awesome. And then it all just kind of stopped. And I think I was more upset about that. Like, where did the stories for girls go? Because I think, and I remember going to a meeting and hearing an executive say, well, and it started when I made Chutney Popcorn. Like, I was trying to find distribution, and I remember them saying, well, lesbian films are really hard because gay men won't go, like, lesbians will see gay male films, but gay men won't go see lesbian films. And I was like, well, what? So it's just not worth it to distribute this. So, and then I was like, it's not really a lesbian film, it's a family film, And so I think that, and then I remember like 5 or 6 years later in a meeting with an executive where they were saying, we're not making movies with girl leads anymore because boys won't go see them. Like, girls will go see boy lead movies, but boys won't go see girl lead movies. And I was like, oh, this is just the same story. It's all just ignoring over half of our population, which is ridiculous when you think of, a business doing that. So, it's more like thinking of Lindsay in terms of that group of girls that we grew up loving, and where did they go, and where did the movies go with smart women and smart girls trying to do something together without it being, helping a boy or being in love with a boy or whatever. It's just, their own dilemma and their own navigating through life.
And what was it like to work with them?
Oh, with Jamie and Lindsay, it was a dream. It was a dream. Like Jamie's just, as you said, having a moment in her career that is incredible. And she is just fearless. Like she just jumps into anything with her whole heart open and really fearless. And I think it makes her riveting. And Lindsay is just as good as ever. Like she's got incredible comedy skills. She's really professional. She was really it was just the set every day was joyful. And that I think was a huge advantage, because I think when you're making a comedy, you can feel when people aren't having a good time on the set. And this one, we were just like from beginning of the day to the end of the day, we were just laughing and hugging and moving. Like everybody really got close to each other and was really supportive of each other. And I think that all came from Jamie and Lindsay and their leadership. Yeah.
Well, actually, like speaking of leadership, do you have a lot of say in who your department heads were, or
oh yeah,
like how does that work? With your relationship.
I mean, as the director, you hire all your department heads. I mean, obviously the studio has to approve of them, but
that's because the studio has to approve.
yeah, I got every single person I wanted.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I mean, I usually try to hire female department heads just because.
It's fun.
It's amazing. And also like,
it is.
The statistics of behind the camera and women working as department heads is still pretty dismal. So
yeah, I worked on 2 shows with majority female and it was amazing.
Like
no one screaming. Oh yeah, nice. Yay. No one acting obnoxious or anything. It's just such a different vibe and a different pace.
It's a different vibe. And there's definitely, I mean, like we're saying, even the unconscious choices that you're making are coming from a different point of view and a lived experience. So, the movie was very female centric, and it just made sense to have as many women behind the camera as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the points you're making is like diversity begets diversity, right? You bring in the right people, and it doesn't have to be a forethought. It just is a byproduct of starting with leaders and department heads that carry that. I'm curious.
There wasn't one time that I had to sit and think about like, is our movie diverse?
Right.
Are we casting diversity? Are my department heads diverse? I just didn't have to think about it, And I think that's what, when you see the movie, just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm kidding. I think that's what lends to like an effortlessness on it. Like when you watch it, like certain things you watch and you're feeling the like, oh, they checked this box and that box, that. Like it doesn't have that feeling at all. And I don't think it will when people who are behind it not like consciously trying to make that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you end up choosing folks because they are the best storytellers for what you want to do.
Yeah.
And what about working with Disney on this too? I'm just curious, given the political environment and, a lot of anti-diversity initiatives coming from our government and how large corporations have had to pivot a little bit from being seen as too woke or whatnot. Did you face any resistance to the type of cast you wanted to bring in?
Sure.
No, not at all. Like there was zero resistance. And Disney, I think, is a big enough company. I mean, they went head to head in Florida when they tried to be homophobic. So I think Disney is a big enough company that they can fight someone like, doing questionably and very wrong things. I think Disney, it's what made me kind of proud to be with Disney was they do fight the good fight, and they do like throw their money around when they see like moral wrongs, and I love that about the company.
That's fantastic. I mean, because you could say, well, some of these big tech companies in the Bay Area are also big enough, but they're not fighting back, right? So applause to Disney.
It's really curious to me. Yeah, I'm a little I'm not a little. I'm very disappointed in that. I wonder why. I mean, it feels like all of them could get together and just say, no, we're not doing this. We're not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about the kind of the press tour and the reactions being so positive now over this first week. I think this is one of those films where some of those early reviews were very critical, but then at the same time, the audience score was like 95%, right? Like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb users loving the film. And these disconnects happen. So really, what do you think is resonating with fans? Because it is 20 something years later. So I don't think it's just the original Freaky Friday fans that are really pushing the love, but it's, even new viewers to the franchise.
God, I wish I knew the answer to that. But I think for me, I think it's maybe I'm not the only one that's missing like the kind of movies we used to see, that kind of like I just really set out to make a studio film that I grew up watching that I loved, and so I think there wasn't, minus any problematic like stereotyping, because we all kind of had to look the other way on films we grew up about some of those things.
And actually, like speaking of, as a little bit of a segue, because I was trying to read up as much as possible before this, and the Rosalind Chow.
Yeah.
Well, kicking it back to the original, which I just like jogged my memory a little bit. I was like, what happened? But the whole impetus of the curse is the scene. It's like a fortune teller parlor setting. Rosalind Chow was there, and it was at the time it was very, very like leaning into East Asian tropes. I think when you commented on this, most articles were like 2-3 sentences, but since our audience is specific API, can you expand on that? And you like touched a teeny little bit about like you talked about Rosalind about that and over the years too, and wondering how that conversation has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, so like again, I think that what we all know is like all the movies were doing their thing in that time period, and it was something that it's hard. Like I watch some of those movies and I'm like, oh, casual date rape just dropped in there. Like, so I think like I'm thankful that times have progressed and that movies are more conscious of those things. And I certainly was never going to try to contribute to any sort of unconscious stereotyping in any way. But what was cool to me was that I just sort of said to Disney, like, even when we met, I was like, hey, like, I know the magic of the first one was this fortune cookie, but obviously culture has progressed and this is like something we could do better this time. And so I kind of, with Jordan, came up with the idea of a fortune teller or a psychic. And then I always had like kind of Vanessa Bayer in mind. And I thought it would be really funny if she played like a really bad psychic, like who didn't really know what she was doing. And it was a little bit like, first I was like, oh, we're gonna, do all these things to like have Rosalind's character do this and that. And then when I met with Rosalind, she was like, should I do the accent? And I was like, no, like no accents. And she was like, well, why? And I said, well, because listen, do you have an accent? And she said, no. And I was like, so just talk like yourself. Like that's this character. But then she was like, but the character in the first one had an accent. And I was like, oh yeah, but we don't have to do that. And then I found out it was actually her idea to do the accent.
Oh,
and I was like, oh no, like in my mind all these years, I was like, and Rosalind was forced to do this accent. And it was like, no, it was like her idea. She was like, wait, I'm the one that came up with that. And I was like, oh my God, that's a totally different story than in my mind and creating. And I was like, still don't do that accent. But she was like, well, why would my character have lost that accent? I'm like, because you lived here for 20 years now. Like, it's okay, like, and so it was really funny because I think I did not expect to have that conversation with Rosalind herself. Like I thought
that's hilarious.
It speaks to the times of movies back then, though, right? That actresses or just foreign actors probably felt sometimes they had to lean into the tropes, right, in order to satisfy the studio or directors or casting directors.
I think so. I mean, you should ask her, but she did say that there was something, I think, if I'm remembering right, there was a scene at the end where she dropped the accent and revealed that she was just putting that on for the sake of the restaurant sales, which would have been amazing. But for some reason, that didn't get shot or didn't get put in. And that really bummed me out when I found out they had that whole arc and didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been really funny.
Yeah, totally. Yes. But yeah, so that was shocking to me. I was like, oh, all right, well then cool. Like we'll come about this a different way. A little less, a little less hot. And then Lucille was just like brilliant, Lucille as always. So I love her to death. And it was more like, okay, well, these characters have been through this experience together. What can they do in this one? And it felt like they had bonded and become family. So Rosalind and Lucille are now the godmothers to Harper, and they're kind of, they've all really gotten closer from it.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Manny Jacinto fan.
I do have a fun scene where they come out and they think that Rosalind was behind it. And Rosalind says to them, like, basically, like, she's like, wait a minute. Like, I have a booming culinary empire. I am way too busy to like get involved with your problems. You know what I mean? And it's kind of that,
right.
Like, and there was a line that I ended up cutting where she was on the phone with like a financier and she was like, oh, no, it's just my two white friends that always think their problems are more important than mine. But Rosalind was always on the fence about doing that line. She didn't really, didn't resonate.
I can see that.
So
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
Junko knows it's kind of a running joke we have on this podcast that I crush over all the original Joy Luck actresses. So Rosalind's right up there for me.
Oh yeah, totally. So do I.
Yeah, I'm a Trekkie, so that's my approach with Rosalind.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question on Manny. So I've been a big fan since he played his iconic role on The Good Place. Yeah. And I was telling Junko though, like he's been totally wronged by Hollywood the last several years, right? He was in Top Gun Maverick, and Junko's like, he was? I'm like, yeah, they completely cut him out. Then The Acolyte he was great in The Acolyte, just great in it. And then again, this isn't really a target of him. The show didn't get renewed. I thought it was the coolest thing ever to see like two Asian Jedis fighting each other. Right? Like, how cool was that?
Awesome.
But I would love to kind of get your thoughts on where you think he's headed in his career and what it was like working with him.
I mean, Manny, I think, is headed to really big, amazing things. He's just incredibly kind and has a really like beautiful big heart, and he's really dedicated. Like there's nothing that if you ask him to do something, even if he wonders if he can do it, he will like give it his all. So I think as a director, that's all you want as an actor that's open and willing to try. And he just not only is like, okay, all right, let me try, but then he'll over deliver. And so it's kind of it's really interesting because also on that set we had a lot of big personalities.
Sure.
And Manny is not
right, yeah.
He's not a huge personality. He's not someone who's like vying for the spotlight all the time off camera or on. Like he's just kind of quietly comes in, kicks ass, steals the scene and then leaves. And you're like,
those are the best.
That? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're like, what? It like leaves you breathless, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly. We did have this really funny day where we were on set. He's in a wetsuit because they're at the beach, and he, it was really hot, and those wetsuits are really hot when you're not in the water. And so he had it rolled down to like his waist because in between takes, he was trying to cool off. And, everybody was very distracted by the sight of Manny halfway rolled down. But my favorite was the teenagers who were also there to shoot their scenes in the water all started rolling down their wetsuits to like be Manny. And I was like, hey, listen, that is like a lot of effort. That is tons of effort and time that Manny is putting into looking that way. You need to just roll your wetsuit right back up. Like,
yeah.
In the water and not try to be like Manny in this moment.
Yeah, you gotta respect your, I don't know if I should call him uncle, but your Uncle Manny.
That is great effort that's going into maintaining that body. And then I understood why we had to put a wetsuit on, because I'm like, if we did the scene and you were in swim shorts, like nobody would be listening to anything going on in the scene. It would just be it's really
so
fun.
Great.
But on the spot, I was like, Manny, what if you like ran into the ocean and got wiped out by a wave, just for like a laugh at the end of the scene? And he was like, huh, okay, and then he just like did it.
Great.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, he's pretty great.
Oh man, it's so great.
Well, your story as a filmmaker is pretty inspiring, to come from an underrepresented background and take on a big studio project like this. What advice do you have for young filmmakers, particularly women filmmakers of color that are trying to break through? Junko and I spent a lot of time talking to, upcoming or up and coming directors and filmmakers, and we see the struggle, right? It's not easy to, they're doing the festival circuit for years and years and years, just hoping to break through.
Yeah. I mean,
just keep moving forward. Yeah, just keep moving forward.
It's hard. I guess like the best. I mean, if you come from indie film like that and you're doing festivals, like there's so much available now to keep making your own movies without having to wait for someone to give you, like when I was starting, you needed, a camera and film and money and services. And now I feel like, you could do so much just on your own laptop at home that it's almost like just keep writing and making movies and something will break through. It just unfortunately takes longer for us to break through. But
and how do you when you're in that infinite waiting period, because you're on that train and the tunnel is dark, what are some approaches to waiting that darkness out?
So brutal. I know
it is, because like I have a good friend of mine, like I think she's kind of been in that little tunnel for a few years, like 3-4 years. Granted, the trailer version, no, her short film, like it hit like 1 million views on YouTube. So she's trying to celebrate. Wow. It's a big deal, but she's still kind of stuck in that tunnel. Yeah, you have to celebrate
brutal.
The wins, but
I mean, the only thing that kind of gave me hope in that tunnel was watching friends emerge from the tunnel, and it kind of sucks when you're like the last friend to emerge from the tunnel. You're like, because at some point you're like, wow, everyone's out of the tunnel and I'm still in the tunnel. Maybe, it gets real dark. Like I was like,
it does.
I just don't deserve to be out of the tunnel, or maybe I'm not talented enough to come out of the tunnel, or maybe, like I remember going through all of that and I just had friends being like, you'll do it, like keep going, just listen to our voice, like we're at the end.
Maintain your village, I guess, and your support system.
I remember Jamie Babbitt, I had she was always trying to help me break into TV and I could never break into TV, and she just kept saying like, you need to get lucky and it's not about talent. Because once I called her and was like, maybe I just can't direct TV and that's why I'm not getting into TV, maybe I don't have the talent to do it, and she was like, no, you just need to get lucky. And I was like, well, how do you get lucky?
So it's like, what does that mean?
It was bananas. But then she helped me get lucky, like when I, with Transparent. And so it was really, is that thing where I think sometimes people try to network by like, oh, I need to meet, Celine Song, or I need to meet Lulu Wang, or I need to meet, and it's like, no, it's your colleagues. It's the people around you who are all gonna help you. Like in the end, you're all gonna move in together,
Yeah. Definitely.
And on the opposite side of that question, are there directors stylistically that you really admire most and try to not mimic necessarily, but model your I guess what directors have influenced you most in your career?
Oh my God. I mean, I think all of the great directors and also just a lot of contemporary directors because, I mean, your style, I'm so genre agnostic that my style will change and bend to whatever is best for telling that story, which might not be like, you know, like, I wonder if that's the director equivalent. I have this lovely friend, Cara Bono, who's an incredible actress, but she is unrecognizable in everything she does. And that's what makes her such a great actress. And that's also what's keeping her from being a star because you can't, I mean, she is a star, obviously,
like,
but
she has no brand because she has too many faces.
Yeah. And I wonder sometimes if it's like, oh, you need to be like, this is a Scorsese film or this is a Spielberg film. Or this is a, you know, but then it seems more modern too. Like everyone's a lot more fluid these days in society. So it doesn't, you know, I'd hate to be like, oh, this isn't a comedy, so Nisha can't do it. Or this is not a you know, sci-fi movie, so Nisha can't do it. It's more the themes that we're talking about and the kind of approach changes according to what's best to tell that story. But I mean, those two directors I just mentioned, I love so much, you know, like, but also, yeah, I try to watch everything every female director makes. And there's always something beautiful to be learned in that just because the point of view is so, you don't get to see it much, you know? So it's not that it's different. It's just that it's not seen that much. So it feels so fresh every time you see it.
Yeah, I really appreciate how strength is portrayed through female directors.
Yeah.
Especially like being inundated with like Marvel and DC for like society's gotten used to kind of being pounded over the head with more testosterone strength.
Yeah.
Testosterone perspective of strength. But if you're looking at it more from a estrogen perspective.
It's crazy. I mean, I loved when I saw Wonder Woman in the theaters, like I did not know I needed a female superhero movie until I saw it. And then I was like, oh my God, like it was so emotional. And I also thought how brave she was because I don't think I would have I don't know that I would have had the braveness required to like say, okay, her superpower is empathy. And the whole movie is going to be about empathy and love. I was like, what? How did you do that? You know, like that's amazing that she just leaned into it. And then when you heard her say that was all about the first one too, like the Superman, the original Superman was just that, like that's what made Christopher Reeve like so incredibly watchable was his love for Lois Lane. Right. And so it was cool. Like she tapped into the things that made it universal, you know?
Definitely. Well, I think your cultural background, we can see the influences on this film quite readily. Are there stories that you look forward to telling in the future as a director and filmmaker?
Yeah, there were so many stories that I want to tell. Tons and tons. There's just like the one cool thing about this one was there's a pop star in the movie called Ella, and Kristen Burr is the one who came to me and said, hey, what about Maitri for this part? And I was like, sure. Yes. And then I was like, I've never seen an Indian pop star in a movie, you know, like a South Asian pop star. And that was so cool. And that was all, you know, our white producer who said it. Like, so that was awesome. I mean, that's Kristen Burr. But I also then loved because we got her song that she ended up performing was a songwriter from Mumbai who lives here and in Mumbai. And then there was a day on set where we were filming Maitreyi singing it and her mom and dad were there. And her mom just got teary because she said, I never thought I would see this day where there's, you know, my daughter playing a part, an Indian woman directing her and an Indian musician who wrote the song. And she just was like, this is a once in a lifetime moment for her.
In a Disney studio film, right?
Yeah, it was huge. And we were at the Wiltern, like it was very moving.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills.
Yeah, it's really
and Maitreyi is so fun. All the work I've seen her do, not just obviously the work that most people know her for, but I've seen her in some film festival films that haven't been distributed yet, like Slanted, where she's really, really good. So she's also another star on the rise. Yeah,
she really is. I'm excited to see Slanted. I've been following it since it was, first announced.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, we've enjoyed having you on, and appreciate your time, and congratulations on all the success. And it's important to have directors like you push through and tell our stories. So I know our audience is very thankful for you as well.
Yeah. And I appreciate your advice on wading through the dark tunnel.
Yeah, it can be
Thank you
long
for that.
And it's weird because then you think it's over and then there's another tunnel, like
Yeah. So got to celebrate the wins and keep your village. Keep your village close to you. Yeah.
Villages will save us all.
Thank you. And so, because we're united by rice, we always close out with this final question, which is, what is your favorite rice dish?
Oh my God.
Noodles. Rice noodles are included. Anything rice. Anything rice. It could be your favorite now or of your entire life. You can come back and have a different choice next time.
That's awesome. Okay, so I just got back from Japan, and I think that like right now I'm a little obsessed with that katsu curry on the rice. And that delicious just hot ball of like moist rice with the curry. And what is it? And I never remember the name of it.
So the brand was Coco Curry is one of the bigger chains.
Ichiban, yes. And there's one actually, so it's funny that you're telling this story because we were in Japan, my family, a month or so ago, and my kids fell in love with a restaurant called Coco Ichiban, which is the big, almost like fast food curry chain in Japan.
Yes.
There's one in Sawtelle, Japantown.
What?
Yeah.
Is that the one upstairs?
It might be two stories.
No. That was that one you're thinking about. That was the OG place.
Yeah, that was the OG place.
Yeah, that's no longer there. Coco. I think there's about 2 or 3 in LA. There's one in K-Town, one on Sawtelle.
Yeah.
What? Okay, I'm finding these.
Yes.
The one upstairs, they keep turning into Kumans. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. I know. We're still trying to push our kids for education.
Well, there's that.
School.
I will also just be old school rice and dal. I'm always food whenever I'm like not feeling well or whenever I'm like stressed or whatever. Rice and dal is just like I could eat it every day for the rest of my life and be happy.
Sounds fantastic. Delicious.
Yeah, great choices. Rice is really the carrier for the gravies and sauces that we all like, right?
Basically, it is just a vehicle to get that other stuff in.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. It was lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to talking to you in the future.